Good morning. We're taking a look at, and I'm not sure how far we're going to get into this. I would really love to take these trim strips off of here because it would certainly make roughing up the paint, doing the body work, and putting in the primer and what have you a whole lot easier not having to mask that off. Because if I mask it off, I'm really going to be worried about trying to even sand close to that, because I don't want, I can put masking tape on it before I start sanding and stuff, but it's just not the right way to do it. But if I've got to take all those inside panels off on the doors and in the back seats, that's just going to be a complete pain in the ass. And I really don't want to take this restoration to that level. By the same token, I've just kind of picked at some of the rocker panels here to see how bad the mud was. And apparently, I guess somebody used the trick of putting some metal tape in there and then just bondoing over the top of it. And we've got some decent structural damage in here. And I know we got some up in here and over here and what have you. And the plan was to just kind of rough it up with a wire brush on the sidewinder, and we'll go ahead and do that. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now so we can see how much of this we need to square cut out and replace and patch, and then get into doing some laser welding like Brent does. So I'll just put it into fast motion. We'll see where we get with this. I'll run the sidewinder, we'll take a look at that. And the more I look at things, the more I'm thinking, I really don't want to get into that trim, but it would sure be nice to get it off. So I'm in a little bit of a quandary here today, can you tell? We'll see you on the other side, folks. Well, that was an interesting little trick right there. What's stamped on the face of these is what you use. I will show you. I will bring this up to the camera so you can see it. They have very little instructions in these laser units. They're, I assume, made in China. And they got little pictures with font that's like 0.8. 0.6 font. You got to use a magnifying glass in order to see it. So it's crazy. But anyway, for 035, that's 0.9 millimeter. Well, there's 1.0 V. I guess V stands for maybe it's a V shape or something in the cut. I don't know. It's not volts. Anywho, one is, wait a minute. 0.8 is what I'm shooting for, is the thinner of the two. So you got to see that on the outside when you put that on there and you engage that little keyway in order for it to line up closest to where you want that to feed into the wire cable, which is farther away, the farther away. All right, so we're going to put this guy in, and he's at 0.8. The other one shows 0.8. We'll put the keeper screw in, little finger tab screw. I will say this seems pretty well truck built. It's nice. Everything's set up in here pretty well. Threads are class 1 fit. I mean, nice stuff. Then we'll put these extra guys in the back in storage where they belong. They don't get harmed, hurt, or otherwise lost. And we're putting 0.035 MIG wire in order to do sheet metal. And the settings that I got off of Brent's video, and thanks again, Brent, you did a great job on that thing. If you ever see this video, I really do appreciate everything you do up there in Canada, bub. Even though you pluralize anyway. Just mild humor, Brent. Anyway is not anyways. Anyway, so. Shoot. If you can't have fun, don't do it, folks. Just have fun. That's what it's all about. That's what I tell my musician friends. You know, if it ain't fun for you, don't do it. All right, so we're going to put this guy on here. Get the little hole lined up with the pusher thingy alonger. Yeah, nice grammar there, Jethro. All right. Comes off the bottom of the spool. That's important. And we will want to trim the front of this guy. By the way, you see I've gotten into a lot of Bondo on this thing. I kind of figured there was a fair amount of Bondo in there. All right, so we got a nice straight piece to go into. If I can keep this all together over here. Into the holes. You know, by the way, I had to take out the set screw for this snout because it was actually blocking me from being able to take out the die, the pusher die, whatever you call these things. All right, so now we're trying to feed this 0.035 through here. There we go. Now we get that into the hose up front. There's actually about 3 different things I had to feed through here. I'll bring the camera in close so you can see. Sorry for all the jostling. But anyway, you bring that off the bottom of here. There's a little snout to line you up. Again, it's the far side, inside, and bring it into there. So I'm trying to get it past all those. And I'm going to hand feed it down there because otherwise it just takes forever for this thing to feed in. So let's see if I can get that done. I'm going to have to change out the snout on the gun down on the very end. So I think when I feel this stop, all of a sudden, we'll be at that, well, we'll be at the snout of the gun. And the reason I say that is the aluminum that I had in here was bigger, it was 0.045, and I'm putting 0.035 MIG solid wire in. And we are using argon gas. The nitrogen was not recommended by the Welding Society. Brent was saying that it was in the book somewhere. I didn't see it, but then again, I didn't look that hard. All right, looks like we got a solid ending. So let's go change the snout out. And the snout, yes, I put a C in my snout. Snout is this guy here, I think, be the 0.8 millimeter. Now that's 1.0 millimeter. So let's try this guy here. Actually, 0.8 is 0.030. So I'm going to go to the 1.0 millimeter snout on the end over there. Let's bring you on over. Sorry if there's a lot of wind noise from the fan right next door. It's kind of warm here in the loo. Before I put this on, I'm going to feed a little wire out from the other end. Be right with you. Whatever it is, it's kind of stuck in there, so maybe I got to pull this snout off, this other part of the snout. It's actually threaded in, so I'm kind of surprised it's giving us that hiccup there, but apparently the wire must be stuck right on the edge of this little snout right here. So I'm going to take this guy out. I think that, I don't know, is that threaded in there? What's going on? There it is. All right, now let's see if I can feed that wire through. Yeah, that's pretty good. Boy, I couldn't see that from over there. My eyes, they must be getting bad. All right, so we need the unthreaded side goes in, and that's a crimp fitting up there. And then we put the snout on the end of and screw that into the threads. And let's get the right tip for that. Boy, again, they've got look at this font. Come on, China, you could spend a little bit more on the ink. Look at that. Isn't that crazy small? All right, let me see if I can figure out which one I want. All right, the AS12 is what I want. It's applicable for wire feeding 0.8 millimeter, 1.0 millimeter, and 1.2 millimeter. So AS12. AS12. Oh, it must be the one I've got in there. Okay. Hey, I went through the exercise. I'm trying to make sure that we do this right. All right, so that guy needs to get lined up. Set right to the edge. Assume I'm with the camera there. Brent was saying on a video, a follow-up video, that he shortens this by 5 millimeters on the side. And I'm going to try that too, because he doesn't put the welding lead right on the weld. So by shortening that up, it goes out of focus and you hold the gun off the material by about 5 millimeters or so, 1/4 inch. And I'm going to get that snout set right into the groove, so the wire's right into the groove, and it will tighten up all these little items on the gun here. If I'm lucky, this will all work. Now the settings I remember he had on welding, I had written down sheet metal 035 carbon steel 1 millimeter per second, I think it is. 45% on power, 80 kilohertz, and 2 millimeter swing, meaning the swing of the laser itself on the very end. So let's go put all this stuff together. I want to make sure that these guys are down, on. And you don't want this one quite as snug as this one, they say, but you want to make sure your cable's in the groove. Yeah, that feels pretty snug. You know, back that off just a hair from that same snugness. We should be good. Alrighty then. Got to put the ground on the gun. And I think we get to use just the goggles, which is, I like those goggles so much better than a welding hood. Welding hoods many times will make it too dark to where I can't even see what I'm trying to do. So we'll go hang that guy on there. And let's show you the settings as I fire things up here. And I'm going to suck that wire back in a little bit. Okay, power back here is on. We are plugged in. Let's retract the wire. Now, I'm going to watch real close. Not getting a whole lot of contrast here. So let me see what we got. This is not armed yet. The light's on, but it's not armed yet. It'll be armed in a little bit. All right, so that's right where I want the wire in the gun. That's all good. Now, we're going to do welding. make sure I got you right in front here so you can see what we're up to. So we're going to welding, confirm, and we're going to drop this down. Let's see. We're going to drop this down to 45%. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm headed in the right direction. 45, confirm. And then I think he said 80 hertz, so that's good. 2 millimeter swing, that all looks good. All right, so I think we're getting real close here. Let me grab the goggles out of here. We will turn the interlock on. Probably give me a warning about gas, atmospheric pressure, sure enough. So turn that on. That should go away. Hello? Yeah, there it went. All right, so we're going to hit the wire feed. And it's 10 millimeters. Let me make sure that matches what Brent showed. You got 1 millimeter. I might have made a wrong number there. So as soon as I hit that, we are asked whether we got gloves and what have you. All right, folks, we're going to give this a try. Put this guy on here. I think I'll take a wire brush, a nice soft wire brush, try to clean the surface just a little bit, and see if by chance we just start off welding here. I hope we do. Put that in nice and close. All right, let's see how that goes. Put my gogglers on. Love you, Wells. Actually, I'm going to put just the one on because that trigger is so small on this gun that it doesn't really be very, you know, it's hard to sense. So here goes nothing, and there went nothing. All right, so nothing's happening. I'm doing something wrong. Let me go see what's going on here. Okay, for some reason the switch came off. I guess maybe there must be a time thing on it. And now we are ready. So let's give this a run and hopefully we get some decent results here. There goes nothing. Oh my gosh, people. That is so sweet. Except I didn't get a whole lot of weld in there, but oh my gosh, I'm going to have to do more and more and more of this. Don't like where that thing is sitting, and I want a little wider sweep on that, so I'm going to bring that up from 2 millimeters to 4. I want to tell you folks, that weld, when I show you this weld, you're going to go, wow, not bad for a first time. Let's see if I can push this metal in because I lost my MIG weld. I am hoping that when I get good at this, that I won't have to pre-weld with MIG. That is not going in for me. Let me go get a stand for this. Suck this up somehow to where the metal's all lined up the way I tried to do it from the start. That's better. All right, hopefully this 4 millimeters will work a little better. Now remember, I get to hold this off the piece a little bit because I got that thing out of focus. Let's give this a run over here and see what happens. All right, a little bit too fast. I'm running it too fast. It's not putting any metal down. There's a little bit of a gap there I need to try to get to fill in. All right, yeah, it's really not sure what's going on here. Let's see. I'm going to put this at 0. I will set this on the unit. I'm going to cut this wire up. I think I'm going to back this back to 0 so I can set this on the plate itself. I'm not as experienced as Brent is. So I'm going to set this right down on the material. Need to bring the snout out just a hair. Be right with you. All right, found my wrenches. Like I say, when I set this tube back to 0, it was at -5. I have this thing's out of adjustment. It needs to go up to the snout. So let me loosen the tube if I can. Yeah, that worked out all right. Pull that out to about there. All right, now I got a 4mm wide sweep of the laser, because the one that I put on there was 2mm and it wasn't very big. All right, so give this another try and see if maybe I can do a better job here. That should be nice and viewable from the camera. Let's give it a run. Still not quite getting what I want it to get. It's welding, but it's just not quite there yet, folks. I'll hold it off just a hair. Brent says it does have a bit of a problem with filling, and he's right. I need to keep it up there, otherwise it won't burn the cable. So, yeah, crud. I am not getting any sort of good result here. Well, that first one laid in real nice. Let me try to see if I can button this guy up over here a little bit. Actually, I'll pull off from the other side if possible. Kind of shy on the cable here. Okay, we're just kind of coming into all kinds of problems, aren't we? I'll try speeding it up just a bit. All right, I've upped the speed of the wire. It's not burning the wire. So that wire speed, when it gets too fast, doesn't actually cook the wire. So I gotta slow the wire feed down to about where Brent had it. Yeah, still not doing it. So I'm gonna go back down to 10mm. I went from 20 to 15. Brent had us started out at 10. So we'll go back to that. Maybe swinging wider cools the temperature down too and doesn't burn the wire. So I brought it back down to 3mm width. Brent started us out at 2. Let's see where we're at here. I'm getting closer, but I'm still not there. It's still burning a little too hot. I at least am getting the wire to burn now. Let me go back down to 2mm on width pass. Now we're getting a little better. It's just futzing around with it. Once you get the right settings on these things, it seems to work pretty good. I'm actually even kind of filling in a little bit here by weaving it. So let me continue to work with this. So at this point we got to where the machine wasn't doing anything, and it looks like I was starting to burn out the optical aspects of the gun. And that's a protective lens, which is a little cheaper and a little more prevalent, so at least that. I was so disappointed with the results of yesterday that I decided to call it quits for that day and go in with the MIG today and just try to fill in the holes that were created in the panel that I was trying to weld up on the side of the car. So that's what I'm doing here. All right, so that was a bear. I think, I don't know if you noticed, but I had real difficulty in welding this patch panel. You know, I put some pieces of metal in there and I tried to use the laser welder, but it just didn't work for me. I mean, I burnt through about 3 or 4 of those protective lenses in that gun. Everything was just going wrong. You know, either the wire wouldn't burn, or when I would get the wire to burn, it would burn through the metal. So I'm gonna do some checking with Brent up there at Half-Ass Customs, who really does a great job working with that laser welder, to see what kind of settings he runs on different things. You know, I made a couple of really good passes with aluminum, as you might have seen, but we just didn't do you know, worth a damn on sheet metal. So anyway, we got the patches in, and what I did was I used the MIG to just kind of patch weld stuff back in, and I hate doing that. I mean, it's terrible looking. You know, you grind it down. There's, you know, it's porosity, but you know, hey, that might hold some of the Bondo into place as well. And this is all below the surface level of where the Bondo is at. There's about a good strong 1/8 inch of Bondo on this whole lower end. And wherever I'm seeing bad Bondo on here, or a bad finish, I'm just kind of using the wire brush to work its way through. So I'll do that back there, and then I'm going to do that down here on this rocker panel. I don't know if I'll end up replacing that rocker panel or what, but this is the worst of the 2 sides. So if I can get this Bondoed back into shape, primered up, and ready for paint, that'll be great. Studied the removal of this trim and talked to some folks and what have you. I think I'm just going to have to leave it on, folks. It's just, I'd love to take that off, but I'm just going to mask it up good with about 2 or 3 coats of masking tape, so that I don't damage the stainless steel trim with that. You know, I'd love to get that piece off and try to straighten out that dent. You know, the job, like I say, outside of this problems that I've had with this welding, has been, it's going better than expected. I mean, the car is cleaning up well. So, you know, we'll really know, I think, once we start taking that top off as to how things are coming. But on this side, you know, this back, that's good. This is all good through here. Now I've got some bubbling up down here. I'll pull that out. There's some bubbling right there. A little bit of bubbling here, what have you, and up front here as well. So, you know, we've got a little bit of body work to do down on the rocker panels of that side, but it's not as bad as this side. And, you know, looking into down here, I see that there's some rippling going on in here. I don't know. We'll try to get the air file. I've got an air file. Maybe through block sanding or what have you, we might get that stuff to come out. And between that and some good thick primer will make something look worth a darn and ready to paint. Again, this door over here is in great shape. The other one is not, so that might be something we get into as well. We're just in the middle of it. We're in the middle of, you know, we're into body work now. So thanks, folks. Appreciate your patience. We'll keep going on this. All right, I'm gonna finish this one up. I think y'all realize I had a really tough day of welding, and talked to my cousin down in a town about 50 miles south of here. He was just calling to talk to the family or see how the family was doing. And I told him, man, I had a tough day welding. He says, well, did you have a fan running close by? Well, I guess that answers that. Blew the inert gas off the weld and made things really difficult. Well, I did some welding yesterday. I don't know if I got much of it on film or not. The camera kind of ran out of battery, but yeah, I'd say we did all right. It's not perfect, but you know, we got this all buttoned up. All those holes and what have you have been welded in place. You know, we're just kind of going with the wire cup wheel on the sidewinder, and that seems to do a pretty decent job. This piece of metal here was out of a mixer I had, so to say Betty Lou is rock and roll now, yeah, I guess that can be the case. And then out of another piece I cut, just welded that rascal in there. And that little bit of Bondo, I mean, this is below the Bondo surface that was on here before, so we'll Bondo that guy up, and I think it'll be all right. And that's the tack we're going to take on the rest of these. I got about 10 more of these to do. There's a little spot up here, up on the door, on the back here. This is all kind of rough, so I expect when I take that all off, the material that's on there off, that we're going to find some degradation in there, so we'll have to get onto that. We needed to wrap this video up, so that's kind of what I'm doing right now, so I can get this out, because I've got some other things that we're going to be getting onto here and just continue on with this. You can see that's what kind of bubbled up there on the end of the fender. That's kind of on both sides. It's the same way. I got some rework I need to do on this guy, so before I get on to that, I think we'll wrap this video up for now. And these guys here, I just checked. These are the like filler plates behind the grill on each side. I just checked in this book right here, and they're wanting like $109 each on those. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to see if I can get up my skills on the old laser welder over there and see if we can't fix these guys. So we'll do a little beer cadding, in my case soda cadding, and see if we can't come up with a design on that, cut those out and put them together. But yeah, we've got some more, you know, rocker panel work we need to do. That door needs to go in some. There's some roughness there. This guy back here is okay, so I think that'll be all right. And not sure how much of this we're going to clean up. You know, we'll do our best with it. But before I continue on with a bunch of that stuff, let me go ahead and just wrap this video up, get it mixed down, and get it up on YouTube so everybody can see that we're still working on this stuff, still trying to get Betty Lou kind of into some decent shape here so we can start putting her back together. Thanks again, folks. Appreciate you watching. Danny is kind of starting to make his way down here some more, so that's a good thing. And we'll continue on with this build as we can. And I'm going to get on to some other things, but we'll get this video out tonight so that it'll be... Thanks again, folks. We'll talk at you later. We'll see you. Bye now.